Well, it's official. The K24 Cefiro build is officially on the road again. Registered, insured, fully legal, so we can actually go take it for a proper drive, not looking over our shoulder the whole time. It's just never fun to do a drive when you're worried about that. It's hard to focus on anything else, so I am super excited to have this thing, one, on the road, but two, at the point that it's ready to be on the road and be driven. Now, it's always nerve-wracking. Like, did I forget something? Is it okay if I drive it? Like, am I missing some major thing I was supposed to do before this? It never, at least for me, it never feels like it is ready to be on the road. And I kind of think about it and I'm like, it's ready. Like, you just got to go register it. So anyway, got it, registered, legal. We're going to go drive this thing. All right, the big moment, putting the plate on. Now, one thing that you might find interesting if you've never had a JDM car is that the plate holes don't line up for whatever reason. So like our holes are here and here, so to get this one on, this one's not on. So we'll have to drill another hole for that, but for now we got a plate. All right, boys, moment of truth. Oh man, I need to zip tie this wire. Got a Dr. P. Oh, I don't want to put it in there. That's where my registration is. Dr. P. But I had to put the JDM coffee in the JDM style vent holder for the first drive. First real drive. First trip. So we've only driven this thing around the block and we're about to go... Man, I gotta zip tie these wires. We're about to go a good bit further than that, so fingers crossed this all goes well. And it looks like it's about to monsoon, so this is, I'm picking terrible timing, but I got the wipers working now, so hopefully we don't need them. So we got oil pressure, wide band, coolant temp, we got everything we need on the dash. Go ahead and open my coffee. I sit so low in this car. We don't have power steering right now because I need a different fitting for the pump. This car is really not that bad without it though. Still getting used to where the clutch is. Mission with the way the sky's looking over there. We'll see. Everything seems okay. Oh my god, I did it. First gear is so short. The clutch is really soft too. Alright, I'm aborting mission. I'm too scared. I think the brakes are dragging. Something's definitely dragging in the brakes. Yeah, like I'm not even using the brakes on this. Alright, well I've confirmed it's the rear. I did loosen up the handbrake and it didn't seem to help, but I might need to roll it back and forth to free them up. I'll have to see. I'm gonna back it up and drive it forward and put it on the lift. But I mean, otherwise it was cooling down. You know, the cooling system was working good. Everything seemed to be doing all right. Like I said, this is so nerve-wracking, man. There's so many things you're thinking of and trying to check. The downpipe really got a lot of color in it. It's kind of crazy. I mean, we got no leaks. Cooling system seems to be bled properly. I mean, so far so good, aside from the brake thing, which is super odd. That's not something I would have expected to be an issue. Of all things, that could be an issue. So anyway, I'm gonna quit jibber jabbing. I'm gonna throw this back on the lift. I'll let you know what I find. All right, well, it definitely was the handbrake. So they were still tight after I adjusted it, rolled it down the driveway. As soon as it broke free, it just immediately started rolling good. I pulled on the handbrake, stabbed on the brakes, went up and down, and we're good now. So I think it was just adjusted a little too tight, and when everything warmed up, it was just too tight. I had it as tight as I could, ideally without them dragging, and they started dragging. So we just loosened it up some. We should be good there. I definitely need to throw some sort of an alignment on this thing. I had to change into Florida man clothes because it got so humid out here. Pants were not cutting it. Oh, well, yeah, that would explain why it's so wonder. I mean, we got to set it on the ground to really check it, but right now we have 1 inch of towing. All right, well, the rear was pretty much in spec. We need to go through and properly set up the rear suspension. So I just wanted to make sure it had little to no toe. It's got a 1/16 of an inch toe in, and we've got about a 1/16 of an inch out in the front now. So I'm good with that. I'm happy with that. I am gonna go ahead and air up all the tires and then just take it for another little drive. We'll take all less traffic filled away and just kind of feel it out a little bit more. All right, drive number 2. Vibrations though, next level. It's ironic because the Miata would honestly make a really good street car. As a kitty. Maybe that's the clutch chirping. Coming over. He's gonna look at the tune and just kind of keep an eye on everything while we get on it a little bit. You know, that way we have a tuner. He's not an experienced K-series tuner, but I mean, tuning's tuning, like the general gist. I still want to have Brent from PFI Speed actually tune the car, but it'd just be nice to have a tuner here to look through things while I'm driving, make sure the timing looks right, all that stuff. Yeah, it's just certain RPMs. She resonates. It's so torquey down low. I love it. I gotta figure out what that is that's rattling. It's like something's rattling on something. What that something is, I'm not sure. So cool. Sitting so low, the digital dash, the freaking old school JDM radio. Oh, did I go down a dead end road? No, we're good. Dude, these BCDS coilovers are the truth. If you're getting coilovers for a street car, really any of them, any car, I get them for all my cars. I go with the DS, but especially for a street car. Like, they handle bumps and stuff, so like this is a super bumpy road and it's just like cruising over it like near stock suspension. If I can just sort out the vibration, we'll be in pretty good shape. Vibration is pretty gnarly, and I might have something loose in the rear. It feels like the rear is wonky. everything over again. Our intake air temps are cooler than ambient at the moment. Have to keep an eye on them under a boost pull when we get there. Obviously we're not there yet. It's getting dark, got some stuff to do, so we'll pick this back up in the morning. Knock out a project we got to do, then the tuner can get here and we can try to actually rip on this thing. First rips, gonna be pretty exciting. So I tossed this thing back up in the air because I was thinking about it last night, our rattle, and trying to think of, you know, what it could be from, because it's been there from the start. And it dawned on me, something I was always worried about is I relocated my steering rack forward to help with over centering, and I was worried it wouldn't fit within this notch, which it does, but it is touching the pan bolt right there. If it was where it would normally be, we'd be in between the pan bolts, but it's touching the pan bolt. Trying to come up with another way to fix it without pulling the engine out. We're eventually going to paint the bay and do all that stuff anyway, but I'd like to get it resolved now if I can. I'm real ready to drive it again, but before we get it all hot and drive it, I want to do the catch can lines. We need to get that done. That's like the last thing, because right now we're just going to be spitting oil on the firewall if we start making boost with this thing. So we need to get our ventilation figured out. We've already got the catch can built. Might as well knock this out. It's the final lines in general for this car. So to do it, we have this Motion Raceworks billet breather kit. These are really cool because one, they just bolt on, which I obviously know how to weld aluminum and could weld fittings on, but these are baffled. So this is our template. And then they have this baffle, which goes in here, and then this, which kind of goes over top and is our inside bracket. So they are really, really well baffled, which is crucial if you have fittings on a valve cover and they're just an open hole. Oil will just splash out into your I mean, you will fill catch cans. Most of the time, if you're pushing a lot of oil into the catch can, it's just poorly baffled crankcase ventilation. So I'm jibber jabbering on. I'm sorry. We're gonna start. We need to figure out where we're gonna put these on the valve cover. Pull the valve cover off. So we are kind of tight on space here. I'm thinking this one goes, have it right about here. And then the second one right back here, if that clears. Alright, breathers are on. Need to throw our ORB adapter fittings in. We can throw the valve cover back on and make our lines. Exciting stuff. Alright, managed to get it back on. We need to start doing the lines. I'm hoping we should be able to get by with a straight. My plan here was to run straight fittings, but we'll see. So I need to get the fittings in there and just see if it looks feasible. Yeah, because that's going to be...
It's going to be too tight to turn. If we use 90s, then it's like...
Yeah, I have a bunch of 90s. So yeah, we can 90 it and go.
Put the straight on the floor. This will probably fine.
Ta-da! Catch can line's done. Well, before the tuner gets here, we now have our, we're gonna replace the hard lines on our rack. And then this is our high pressure fitting that we need. It's a lot deeper than the one I had, so the O-ring can bottom out and seal. So I want to get these in and try to get the power steering working. Might as well, but we already took the car off the lift, so I didn't realize they were here. They were in the mailbox. All right, we got the GK Tech lines on. I didn't really need to replace these. I just did it because I figured I might as well while I'm down here. I'll save my hard lines in case I ever need them. Most ways getting the pressure line on now, return line, then we can fill the system up with fluid. See if it works and doesn't leak this time. Hopefully the seals in the rack aren't blown out. And Stu's here.
Howdy.
To do some tuning.
Trying getting her ready for drift night.
I know, I'm just trying to get it in a boost and not be terrified it's gonna blow up.
Oh, we got it all scaled for boost now, so we just gotta clean it up from there.
Should be good. I was just like, I'm like, this is the base map. I don't know if anything's even close. I don't want to get it in a boost and just like lean spike and blow it up. So it'd be nice to have him here monitoring the vitals while I get it in a boost for the first time. All right, well, it's getting dark, so we don't have a whole lot of time, but we're ready to go take it for a little drive. And we'll have power steering this time, assuming it doesn't look like it's leaking. Fingers crossed. I was a little worried the seals are bad. It's time.
Our regular old base map feels pretty good. Was that you or to break up a little bit? I was saying, I thought so.
Well, tuning obviously did not go great last night. First off, that vibration is ungodly. It is very, very bad, especially at the higher RPMs. I mean, it just detracts from everything else. It's hard to focus on anything that's going on because there's just this immense, like, metal on metal vibration running through the whole chassis. And like I said, I'm confident at least that bolt touching is a big contributing factor because the engine is basically sitting against the chassis, so any resonance is going to travel through, and it's going to be kind of intermittent as it moves around on the mounts. So what I want to try to do to remedy that, basically support the engine from the bottom, drop the subframe itself down just enough to change that bolt to an Allen bolt, and throw a couple of shims in there. So I'll basically have 2 shims on each side. I think between those 2 things, we should be able to get the engine up enough to get it off of that steering rack bracket. And at least we'll know then if that's it, or we need to start looking elsewhere to find the source of this just horrible vibration. I also ordered an ATI super damper. It's really something I should have got from the jump on a car like this, that I'm gonna rev high, and these motors just naturally have a lot of vibration. So we'll do that, but I've got to remedy that. I kind of ignored it at first because I was like, oh, whatever, it's something simple, I'll figure it out. But man, it's after driving it a bit, like, it's got to get handled. So on top of that, as you probably saw, it's probably hard to tell because it was dark out, car is not running great. I mean, it's running good up until the point where it just like ignition cuts at around 10 PSI. So really unclear on what's going on there. Stu's gonna look through the base map to see if there was anything amiss. We are getting like a trigger error randomly I don't know if that's it. It's kind of weird that we're getting that error to begin with. So I don't know, we're gonna have to start doing some diagnostics and some troubleshooting to figure that out. So we're gonna do that first. He should be on his way here to try to figure that out this morning. And then once we're done with that, whether we fix it or not, I'm gonna try to tackle the subframe because I can't handle this vibration. So while I'm waiting on him to get here, I'm gonna go ahead and make some shims. Just that way I have them ready to go. And then hopefully we can figure this out. It felt good getting it into that little bit of boost. You know, up until that point, I'd got it to like 3 to 5 pounds. But when it really started to spool and went from kind of 5 to 10, it was like, oh man, this is just a start and this thing's gonna feel pretty freaking rowdy. So yeah, we've got some work cut out for us, but I mean, as it usually is with a full, fresh build, a motor that's never been in this car, you know, like no one's ever, to my knowledge, put a K-Series in a Cefiro. There's kinks to work out, a lot of custom parts, things trying to mix together. So just a little update, gonna try to figure it out. I'll show you guys the shims when I make them. They're not gonna be anything special though. Just some plates with a slot cut in them. All right, got our little shims made. I even went the extra mile and cleaned them up on the belt grinder. I just can't help it. Everything looks way better when you round the edges. All right, we've done a few things. We ran a vacuum on to the fuel pressure regulator so that the boost will increase fuel pressure. We reset the base fuel pressure. I had it set a little higher than the map wanted. There's a filter we can use on the cam signal, cam and crank signals, kind of filter out noise. So we put that in. So I don't know, we're gonna see what happens. Fingers crossed. You ready?
Want to do it? Yeah, go for it. Better, still did it.
If I don't full throttle it, it was going further. That's what I thought about that last night. I'm like, I should have tried to like hard throttle, limit the boost, and see if it was RPM based or boost based.
Turn that filter level up. Because I just put it on the lowest setting.
Try it.
Go for it. Even worse.
No. Yeah. You try zeroing out the cam control table.
No, I didn't. Let me try that.
It's 0.
It is 0.
Besides the vibration, the car feels great. The shifter feels good. Yeah, I haven't like focused on the sound.
I was just thinking about that. Like, yeah, we're driving around the Turbo K-Series all drive. It's like we're not appreciating the sound.
Right.
Alright, go for it. Felt like it didn't happen till a little later that
Rolled
time.
into the door. That was like hard throttle. Man, it was pulling though.
It's good. It's going better.
It felt like it was like,
That
it
was
looked like
me
it was like 5,200 instead of like 4,800.
30% throttle or so.
A little wavy, but
Okay.
it's trending, what you can see.
Hold on 1 second. Well, that's good at least. It's like RPM. Because that was only 5 pounds.
Yeah, and it was right at 5K again.
Yeah, like 5,200. Because it was moving, dude. I was
That felt
barely
good.
touching the throttle.
That felt good.
I was only making a few pounds. All right, Stu's taking off. He's heading to the Freedom Factory Drift Night, which was kind of the low-key goal to get this thing out there. I've only got the set of tires that's on it, but it would have been fun to drift it for the first time at the old Drift Night, but we're unfortunately not going to make it. I couldn't get any tires to the Miata, and the only tires I have for this are on this car, which I don't want to steal them onto that. Yeah, you get the idea. Anyway, we've got 2 issues, right? So we're getting a crank signal error. Once we get to that like 5,200 RPM, it's triggering an error, which presumably is our problem. Seems like it might be the sensor. A lot of cases it is a sensor, so we're gonna try to get a new sensor for it. Problem 2 is we have variable cam timing on the intake cam. There's a variable cam gear. There's this solenoid here that actuates it. and there's a map for it, and we can see what it's supposed to be at and what it's actually at. And no matter what it's supposed to be at, it stays at 0. So either the cam gear got messed up when I installed it, the solenoid is bad, or something else is wrong. But it seems like the sensor is reading fine. It's just something's going on there, but that isn't our breakup problem because it's wrong all the time and there's no error. So I know I'm jibber jabbering technical details, but we're working through it. Me and host Juanito here are gonna go ahead and lift this thing up and try to knock out spacing up the engine just a little bit and changing that bolt and all that. See if we can get rid of that just atrocious vibrator. All right, well, it required some work, but we got it done. We managed to get it done. We got our shims in to the engine mounts there, and then we replaced that M10 bolt with an Allen bolt. We had to pull the steering shaft, drop the subframe halfway out, disconnect sway bar. Now we've got plenty of clearance to the steering rack so the engine can hopefully move around and not make crazy rattling noises. The sway bar and links that I had were the old ones and they were trashed. I had some new ones, we tossed those on. Those are probably rattling. Okay, I'm gonna quit jibber jabbering because I'm really anxious to see if this thing still rattles like a dang rattle trap. All right, we still got things vibrating and rattling, but the physical vibration seems to be a lot less. The rattling seems to be a lot less, but we got to drive it to find out. I mean, it needed to be done. It was literally sitting on that, on the steering rack bracket. So, I mean, it had to be done one way or another, but hopefully it fixed it. That's been really annoying. I think it's better, because like even doing that before it would vibrate like crazy. Signal, we're getting a reference error above like 5,000 RPM and it's causing the ignition to cut out. That's the biggest problem. Problem 2, the vibration. It's awful, you press the clutch in, it goes away. Those swing out under there with the car on the lift, it seems like it's coming from the transmission area. Like, not 100% sure on that one. Problem number 3, again, the variable cam control, it's not working. Which could just be a bad solenoid. Whenever I get a motor, like this is a JDM pullout, I find it hard to believe that the pullout's just bad, you know? But I mean, it could be, you know, or that a thing is bad. Like, we changed the crank sensor just to see, but, you know, it being bad, Granted, we used a parts store one, because that's what we could get. Might try to throw another OEM sensor in there and see. Yeah, we got some things to figure out. We've been pulling our hair out all day, checked everything we can think of. But what we're doing right now is we're going to go see, we haven't really ever made sure that the VTEC solenoid is working. So we want to see if that's working, or or if we have a deeper issue than just our solenoid. So cam control switched. All right, above like 4150 RPM. Yeah, that you heard it, right? I heard it pop VTEC. And overboost it. It's still breaking up after about 5 grand, but VTEC is definitely working now, and it wasn't.
Yeah. You don't think it was before?
No. I mean, I wasn't really paying that much attention to it.
Yeah.
Maybe it was working, I don't know. It's in theory, maybe, I don't know. It depends on if their base settings were right. Like if it was supposed to be a low side output, then it would have needed power and got the low side, which is how I had it wired up. It's the same RPM every time. It's 5200 every time it cuts out. This thing's gonna be so cool and it works 100%. Alright guys, well, we're gonna have to sort this out another time. We've done everything in our power. We'll figure it out. I'm sure we will, but for right now we're kinda stumped. I've got to get a new VTEC solenoid, or VTC solenoid, to see if that fixes the cam control issue. If that fixes that, then our issues are vibration, crank signal cutting out at 5200 RPM. Fingers crossed. You guys have any ideas, let me know. Thanks for watching.